Okay, recording starting. Okay, so welcome everyone. This is UP Advance's last event. Whoa, yeah, we're almost done with the semester, guys. This is, our intern panel. We got Azara Lee, we got Samantha Fernandez, Carol Lopez, and Nazmul Hugh as our panelists. So, wait, before I ask any questions, really quick, guys, tell everybody what internships you guys had. We can start with Azar.
Hey everyone. Yes, my name is Azar Lee. I'm a junior in computer science. I'm a junior at FIU in computer science mathematics and former UPE director of Mentor. And I interned at Facebook as a Facebook University intern on the end.
Nice. Okay, next we have Sam.
Hey everyone, I'm Samantha, as you already know, and I study information technology at FIU. And my internships recently were, right now I have Disney Plus as a QA analyst intern, and my most recent, those are my internships.
Awesome. Okay, and then we got Carol Lopez.
Hey guys, I am a senior in computer science graduating this December 2020. I had the opportunity to do an internship with Infinity Interactive, then 2 internships with General Electric Appliances. Well, I now managed to secure a job with Microsoft for when I graduate this December 2020.
Awesome. And last but not least, we have Naz.
Hey guys, my name is Naz. I am also a senior in computer science, graduating in December. I have interned at JP Morgan, MITRE, and Nike last summer, and I got the opportunity to pursue a full-time career at Nike after graduation.
Awesome. Okay, so now that you introduced yourselves, I'm going to start with the questions. So we'll go with the first question. So, what was the most valuable skill or lesson that you gained from an internship experience? We'll start with Azar, and then pretty much how you guys introduced yourselves in that order.
I would say the most valuable skill or lesson I personally gained was I definitely had to improve on what during the internship, at least for me, for Facebook University, we were learning kind of the basics of how the tech industry is sort of set up in terms of how you communicate with like managers, how you work in like teams, and how you work with teammates in order to get deadlines done and how the tech industry works. So at least from my internship experience, one of the most valuable insights that I gained was learning how the tech industry, I guess, function, how fast paced the tech industry is, and how, at least at a company like Facebook, how you need to be constantly on top of your work and how you need to be organized and how you just need to be proactive with your tasks on a daily basis. So that for me, that was something that I had to get used to since I never really worked before, and that is a valuable skill that I've been able to put to use in running organizations and to in my work in general, like schoolwork and stuff.
Thank you for that. Next we have Sam.
Yeah, so for me, like Azar mentioned, like that's so true about the during my American Express internship, it was a lot of making sure that I was on top of like learning and implementing most of the time. Like, so I had to make sure I knew how to divide up my time and balance things out and basically make sure that I had time for learning and both like developing. So just managing my time well was the biggest thing I learned from my internship, remote internship actually. So yeah.
That's really important. Definitely time management is kind of key to a lot of things. Great. Next, we got Carol.
Yes. Well, for me, I would say that the most important lesson that I got was that you arrive to the workplace totally lost. You, with probably a lot of imposter syndrome, you don't believe in yourself, you don't even know how you make it there, and you are unsure about really being able to contribute to the company and do something that is valuable for them. And the good news is that they already know that. They know that you don't know, that you are just a student, that you have zero experience, and they are not counting on you knowing everything since the time you arrive. They are counting on you being curious, wanting to learn, being willing to put the time and the effort that it takes to learn. So just don't be afraid of asking questions, of making mistakes, of asking for help. The best thing that you can do is try to do things by yourself. Take your time to try it out first, to search online and put together a couple of points of things that you have tried, so that when you go to a manager with a question because you don't know how to do something, you are not just saying, I don't know how to do it, help me. You are saying, I tried all of these, they didn't work. I searched in here, I found this, but it doesn't make total sense to me. Can you help me or guide me into the right direction? So using that approach, they are going to be very happy with you, and you are going to leave knowing a lot more than you knew by the time you arrive.
I definitely agree. I remember in the beginning, like, for example, when I started school, like asking questions, I wouldn't really do that. I was either too shy or something. And then I started breaking out of that bubble and I was like, you know what? I'm going to just start asking more questions and just see where it goes. And I've learned a lot more because of it. So asking a lot of questions is definitely going to help you and get you far. Thank you for sharing that. And then we have Naz.
Yeah, those guys pretty much took all the good ones. So I have to kind of think about it a little bit now. But I would say one kind of like interesting lesson, and to an extent a skill, is dealing with different kinds of people in the professional environment. I've had the pleasure of working with some pretty cool and amazing people, as well as having to deal with some pretty, I'm gonna put in big quotes, interesting people. Um, and just kind of what to do in those situations, if things aren't going your way, um, and things aren't going your way, and people, different kinds of people are treating you a certain way, just dealing with those situations and etc. Um, I definitely learned a lot from the internship, and definitely learned a lot from my previous internships in that regard, and just learning about how to deal with different types of people.
Sounds good. Thank you for that. All right, so now we're going to move on to the next question. All right, so what advice would you give to someone aspiring to get their first internship? Which I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people here who are aspiring to get their first internship. So we'll start with Azar.
The number one tip.
Oh,
Am I? Oh, okay. I thought I was muted.
you're
Okay,
good.
cool.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
The main tip that I can give people looking to get for their first internship, because this internship was essentially my first real internship, is to get involved. Please get involved. Sooner the better. Whether it be joining, in clubs, or whether it be on campus, get involved, because the things that the things that you do on campus, whether it be attending workshops, getting first hands-on experience with technology, getting mentorship, or attending hackathons. These are experiences that will build your experience at FIU and will give you the knowledge and the things that our company is looking for. So getting involved helps get you that experience that you need to sort of be successful. And as well as getting involved, as you get more and more involved, you also meet cool people on campus and you could do some networking with them as well. So once you network with people, you get to learn from all sorts of people on campus. People on campus that have been through maybe what you're going through before, people that have been through some sort of interview process, or maybe be some people that are good at technical interviews, some people that are good at professional development. You get to meet a whole bunch of sorts of people, and you could ask them for help and getting getting for where you need to be a good candidate for companies. So definitely, at least for me personally, my journey into getting my first internship kind of essentially happened as I got it, more and more involved with UPE, right? So my first semester, I was a freshman, fall 2018. I ended up becoming the director of UPE Mentor in spring 2019. So that was kind of like a big sort of transition kind of thing happening in my life. But getting involved was one of the best things that happened for me personally, as I was able to gain a lot of experience in terms of managing teams, managing a committee, leading people, being, public speaking, working with all sorts of people and mentoring as well. It was an amazing experience. And my behavioral interviews for both State Farm and Facebook, I was able to bring up these experiences that as I got more involved on campus, I had so much experience off the bat, even though I was a sophomore, to give them and make myself a strong candidate for applying for the first time. So that's honestly one of my main tips. Like, really get involved and take these experiences to your advantage.
Definitely agree with that. The second I started getting more involved with school, there's just a bunch of opportunities that came my way. So thank you for sharing that. It's definitely important. So now we're gonna move on to Sam.
Yeah, like Azar said, like definitely getting involved is the biggest point, because later on in interviews, when they ask you behavioral questions about like are you a leader and things like that, like what did you lead at school, you need to be able to have those examples to talk about and those stories to be able to like show that you are like an amicable person, basically. And the other tip that I would give, like my experience is a little different. I started off with a smaller company, which is called Fairlogics, and they are looking for students with no experience, basically, like students that just had a lot of curiosity, a lot of drive to learn. And it's basically showing that to the recruiters that, hey, like I have a lot of curiosity, a lot of drive, I'm passionate about technology. And I showed that, and I managed to get my first internship at a small company, and that first experience helped me get my internship with Disney, and then my internship with Disney helped me get my Amex internship. So it's like a chain reaction. Like so one thing you could do is get involved and also start small, or I mean aim big, whatever you want, but I started small and just kept going up the ladder, I guess. So yeah, that's my tip.
Thank you for that, Sam. So, Carol?
Yes. Well, the advice that I would give is apply. Apply to every single opportunity that you see. You never know where your opportunity is going to be.
Yeah.
The career fair where I got my first internship, I didn't even want to go to that one because I went to the career fair in the fall. I applied to a lot of places and I didn't get any internship. No one called me. I gave my resume to a lot of people and it was for nothing. So I was very disappointed. So for the career fair in the spring, I just didn't want to go. And my family told me, yes, you have to because you never know. And since God, I went. I even arrived super late, but I felt like I needed to try. And the only company that I talked to, they got me. It was General Electric Appliances. They were looking for software engineer, I mean, for people in computer science to be in the software group, and they got me. So, and I was super surprised. And after that, I was telling myself, oh my God, thanks God, I went to that career fair. And the same with hackathons. In the hackathons, you get the opportunity to network with a lot of recruiters. So go to those events, stay on top of events organized by Google, Facebook, and even other organizations like COPAC. They even have an interview preparation course. I am going to put in the chat, you can Google it. And if you can get into one of those their courses, it is going to be great. And it is for free. And I learned a lot with them. So be involved in a school, but also out of a school, because there are a lot of organizations organizing a lot of events, and you get the opportunity to network. And that is going to be very, very important.
Thank you, Carol. And last but not least, we got Naz.
In terms of advice, Azar, Carol, and Sam all made a really good point about being prepared and just keep constant learning. I will say, to add on to that, if when you go for your first internship, it may not always be what you would hope. It may not be the company you preferred. It may not be something in something that you wanted interested in. But just know that when you go and start practicing and you start grinding for your first internship, data structures is a big point. But another big point is also working on your personal projects. When I applied for my first internship and I got my first internship at JP Morgan, I was invited to a like a company hackathon. It was JP Morgan's Code for Good hackathon, and in order to get to it, the recruiter I spoke to had asked me, instead of asking me data structures questions or anything like that, just asked me, um your tell me about like your journey in computer science, like what are some cool things they learned and worked on. So I started talking about why this one side project I've been working on, which was a mobile app, and the time I spent talking to her was just about that one project, and that led me into being invited to the Code for Good program event. Sorry, not program. And from there, after completing that event, I got to meet with more people, more engineers from JP Morgan, and they've asked me again. So for my first internship, like, have you been working on any cool projects, or do you have a cool interest? And I told them, yeah. So I've been really interested at the time. I was really interested in mobile development and web development. So I've been working on this cool app. And then from there, it just, a pattern came out that I've just been asked about, not like my school, like not my academics or my academics, and not only my academics and passion, but also what I did outside of that, which was my side projects. So really, I would recommend, along with studying data structures, just work on a cool side project, or if you have one, be prepared to talk about it when you start talking to when you start looking for that first internship, or you starting your first interviews to get your first internship. Usually, a lot of the times, just the passion you show talking about your projects, that usually is worth more towards getting that first internship than just learning data structures and etc.
Thank you guys for that. Yeah, definitely getting involved and in any way, whether it's inside or out of the school, working on a project, you don't have to have a finished project, but if you're starting something that you're just interested in, that's definitely a talking point when people ask you like, hey, why are you interested in this internship? What have you done? Attending hackathons, like any event, honestly, just something to talk about and something that you're interested in really will give you a boost into getting that internship. So now we're going to move on to the next question. So how would, or did you go about building long-lasting connections at the internship? That's really important. We're talking about networking and stuff. So how did you network within those internships?
I assume I have to go first. So within those internships, so at least for me, yeah, for FBU, what I in general, a little bit about me. So yes, I am in CS, but I'm also interested in a few different fields other than SWE. I'm also interested possibly in project management. I'm possibly interested in all sorts of different areas. So for me, what I did in order to take advantage of the internship as much as possible, I reached out to my manager and I asked her if she knew anyone who would possibly for like different fields. I asked her if she knew like a PM, if she knew someone for like this field, this field, this field, and she was able to put me in contact with a few different managers and people in like different teams and stuff. So and I got to talk to them like really quickly, like 10, 15 minutes, just I asked them any questions that I had, and they were all super friendly and super willing to help me out and give me more insight into their company. And I still have their contacts like to this day afterwards. If I need anything, they said I could reach out to them and stuff. So I think one of the best ways to go about building connections is to be proactive and to not wait for people to come to you in certain if you it depends what you want to get out of the internship at the same time. For me, it was not only just about completing the job, it was also to see what how I could personally like what moves can I make after this internship? What path can I take after this internship? And what way do I want to go? Who, you know? So for me, reaching out to the managers was one of the best ways for me to tell that. And then it actually helped me out a lot. So that was one of the main ways how I built connections, at least with people within the actual company in itself. And then as well, in during my time at Facebook, I was in a team of 6 people. We were going through the internship together, and I became really good friends with all of them. One of the people in my team was actually someone, well, I'm pretty sure all of you know, they go to FIU as well. And so I was in a team with all of them, and then we all became really good friends just through being in the internship together, helping each other out when we had bugs, and just being there for one another, especially during these times in COVID when we couldn't be in person. We were there for each other online. That honestly really helped me build those relationships. And if I ran into ever a problem or if I ran into like a bug, I could always count on my teammates to help me out when I needed. So two main things.
Los leones quieren hacer historia.
Tiraron allá en la cama.
Tienen sorpresas.
I don't know if someone's mic is okay.
Yeah, I think someone, yeah, I think we're good now. Okay, can you repeat that, Azar?
Yeah, so just two things. One is the the managers, and two, the other thing is your teammates. Definitely rely on your teammates if you have any or people on your team. And, build connections and just be friends with them. Try to be friends with them in the internship, and if you can outside the internship, it helps as well to build those bonds.
Thank you for that. Yeah, definitely asking questions, we're going back to that, and just showing interest really does get you far and really does make an impression on people. You know, the second you're like, oh man, what is this about? You know, I want to know more about this topic. You know, they're like, oh, really, you do? And then that's it. It starts building a relationship because then there's other people who are interested in what you're interested in. And it's like this domino effect. But yeah, thank you for that. So next we have Sam.
Yeah, definitely emphasis on interest. That's like the biggest thing. You know, when you go into these internships, you have to be passionate and you have to be super curious and interested, right? So that's like the best way to like really make connections with people and relate on different levels. And another way I'd propose to make long-lasting relationships is talking about anything else other than technology. During the internship itself, I mean, with Disney, we have a channel that's just dedicated to like trash movie opinions, and basically I relate, like I get along so well with my manager because we have like the same movie opinions and things like that. So that's like just another way of like connecting with your managers, and like then they understand where you come from, and I don't know, it's just a way of connecting. So that's really important because that's how they remember you later on. If there's ever a full-time position opening and you're somewhere else and you want to come back to Disney or whatever company, right? So they'll keep you in mind and they'll remember you for that, being that person that liked that one movie, I guess. Yeah. So that's like a good way of making those long-lasting connections, like something memorable about you. So yeah.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah.
Now we're going to move on to Carol.
Yes. So at work, people also love when they go to lunch or they are in a party, a company party, they love talking about work still. I don't like that as much, but that is a good opportunity to talk about work in a more informal way. And maybe there is something at work that is of particular interest for some of them, and they enjoy talking about that even during lunchtime. So if you talk about that, you start also discovering what the people around you are interested in, and that is a good opportunity as well to talk to them in a more informal and relaxed environment and start building a relationship that go beyond what we do at work. So yeah, I would recommend taking advantage of those times as well. I didn't take as much advantage of those myself because my English was very bad and they were talking very fast. So I almost never understood what they were talking about in lunch. But I know that they were laughing and yeah, if for those, most of you who probably speak English very well, it is going to be very fun, a very good way to network and to build the relationships.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Now we have Naz.
So, in terms of building long-lasting connections, one thing that really helped me is I got along with other interns. It's for me, it started there, is getting along with other interns during my internship. Um, I will say, like, if I'm sure that Azar, Carol, you and Sam, at the beginning of your first internship, right? You guys probably had an icebreaker at like the orientation where you introduce yourself, and then everybody would introduce themselves, and then some people would not enjoy it. Um, but in actuality, those icebreakers really help a lot because you get to meet the other interns beforehand before you start work, right? So for me, it started at my internship icebreaker, where at least for my first internship, they told us to have a cool fact about themselves, right? And my cool fact was I was the only person from Miami in my internship. Everybody else was either from California or wherever. I was the only person from Florida. Let alone like forget Miami. I was the only person from Florida, right? And it started from there, and then from there, my manager, I met my like from there after the icebreakers, we met with the managers, and then when my manager heard that, oh, um, you're from my manager from that fun fact, right? She told me that, oh, you're actually the second person that's from Florida in the entire building, right? The which happens to be my manager's manager. He was from Miami, Florida, and we were the only two. And then from there, um, my manager, the first thing she did was introduce me to her manager. Only based off the sole fact that I was the only person from Miami, right? And then from there, I was able to build a healthy relationship. I got to meet more people along the way, but um, it really starts with, for me at least, it really starts with meeting with other interns first, right? So after I met them, and then suddenly it was like a, what do they call it? Where something happens and another thing immediately follows suit. I think Azar, you said it was like called a domino effect, or somebody mentioned the domino effect here. But basically, one thing led to another. At my previous internship in the summer, um, I what I did differently that time to network with, like to extend my network and also to build more long lasting connections is I started going outside the realm of the US. So at Nike, it's a global company, right? So I was able to talk and meet with interns virtually that were interning in Japan and Korea and in China. And I got to meet with those people. And a cool thing that happened, cool story is I spoke with one intern um who was working on the Olympics team, the in Japan on the 2020 Olympics. Well, not really 2020 Olympics anymore, but she was working on that team. And from networking with her, I got to meet with her manager and stuff, and I got to learn more about opportunities working globally and stuff like that. So starting at like the base level, which would be your fellow peers who are also interning with you, And then working your way up from there, you start building a big network of interns and connections from there. And then you'll realize that those connections can lead you to more connections that you didn't think you would have. And so I would say start with the people closest to you, which would be other interns, and then work your way from there.
Thank you. That's really cool. Thank you so much for all the awesome answers and experiences that you guys have went through into building those relationships, within an internship. Because, at the end of the internship, the goal is to get like a full-time offer usually. Well, depending. I mean, if you're starting off in college, you're just kind of getting it for like, oh, I need to get like the industry experience, experience in general, make more projects. But when you start ending your years in college, you're like, all right, so now, I kind of want to have that full-time offer already. And I'm pretty sure if you do make a lasting impression on the internship you're in majority of companies, they'll remember you. They'll remember you, and they're like, hey, so there's a full-time offer if you're interested. But yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Oh, can
So
I
we're gonna move
add?
on to the next question.
And don't forget to send people LinkedIn invitations. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, create it, look for your teammates in LinkedIn and send them invitations. That is another way to stay in contact with them, even when you finish the internship. Actually, I think it is going to be the more efficient way once you left.
That's definitely true. Yeah, you want to keep maintaining those relationships, and LinkedIn is a perfect platform to do that in. You just add them, you connect with them, you could talk professionally. It's great. So definitely once you get that internship, just start making those connections. So we're going to move on to the next question. So for someone who isn't sure where to start in finding internships, what advice could you give them?
Okay, so there's quite a few places you could go to find internships. So for me, when it was starting to find like internships. For my last internship was a sophomore internship. So I started off with someone with not too much coding experience, someone that is just pretty new, but I still wanted to get that internship experience if I possibly could have. So but despite my skills, I still just applied to as many places as I could. And how did I find these places? I would typically, if there's a company that I know that I want to work for, or I just want to see if they have a tech internship, I just look up like Capital One tech internship, Nike tech internship, any company tech internship. So if you're interested in like a specific company, you don't know if they're a tech internship or if they offer that, usually a Google search will get you a long way, and you can find for those companies. As well, there are forums on the internet, possibly such as Reddit or any other areas like r/CS career majors, something of that sort. There's a good amount of places on the internet that you could find resources. For instance, I'm gonna drop a few in the chat actually. This is a Google Doc that has a list of like CS jobs that are being updated like kind of like all the time, and it has a whole bunch of resources that you could get started with in terms of preparing for behavioral interviews, all that stuff, how to build your portfolio, like access to all sorts of blogs and people's journeys. That one I find is a really good resource. And there are a few GitHubs around as well that offer like internships. I'm gonna drop two that are constantly being updated all the time. You definitely can go through these GitHubs, just find places online that that are updating, and just apply to as many as you can, because you want to give yourself the best possible chance to get. If you just want that experience, just apply to as many as you can. And if a company rejects you because you don't have too much experience, then whatever, right? That's just another one. But all you need at the end of the day is just that one internship, that one company that accepts you, and that one company that's willing to take a chance on you at the end of the day. So yeah, so there's a bunch of I dropped some in the chat, and as well if you like look on sites such as like LinkedIn, or if you look on Reddit, whatnot. You'll see job openings happening, and you'll know when popular internships, such as like the sophomore internships, maybe when those applications are opening and when to best apply for those. So definitely, for me personally, the internet has been the best resource for looking up internships and just staying up to date.
Thank you for that. Yeah. I definitely have found a lot of opportunities just by searching up companies that I thought were interesting. And a lot of them have a section, they're like, oh, internships are for students, opportunities for students. And you just kind of apply to those. So thank you for sharing that. Next, we have Sam.
Yeah. So, I think that the first thing is if it's your first internship, you have to apply everywhere, right? You have to do a combination of going to the company site, going to the websites that Azar linked, like going on LinkedIn and going to the career fairs and Shell Hacks, like all those sites, you have to go and apply to everything. Because that's basically what I did at first. And just like Carol, I found my first internship through career fair at FIU by accident, pretty much. And it's just a matter of applying everywhere and seeing what company is gonna like grab onto you and take a chance on you. And yeah, like that's my biggest advice, other than making sure you know what role you want to be in and making sure that the experience on your resume shows for that role. Like if you want to do PM, make sure you have projects that have to do with project management on your resume, or if it's SWE, have other projects that have to do with that on your resume. So definitely make sure that your resume actually aligns with like the requirements that the position requires. So yeah, that's my advice.
Thank you for that, Sam. Next, we'll have Carol.
Yes, I would say that it is like a learning curve, the same for getting the internships. To get your first internship is super hard, but once you get the first one, then the second one comes easier. Then by the third one, everybody wants you because you already have the experience. And in reality, is that to get that first one, we think, okay, everybody is looking for a student with experience already. I don't have any. So it is like they were mentioning before, you only need one yes. It doesn't matter how many no it takes to get to that yes. One is all what you need. So apply everywhere. One more time, we cannot say enough. I would say include in your resume your school projects as well. Having a side project out of a school, maybe a web application, even a very simple one, or a mobile application is going to be very, very cool and useful. But if you don't have that, at least put your your school projects, be prepared to talk about them, make in your resumes, make things sounds exciting. Even if they were not that exciting, you have to make them sound like that. That's a trick and that's a tip. And when you talk about them, try to show your passion and your excitement about what you did. And yeah, what else? I would say where to start. Yeah, everything that we have been saying. If I think of something else later, I will add it.
I want to add that like tell everyone about the fact that you're trying to look for your first internship, right? Because the way that I found my first internship is through someone remembering me and being like, "Oh, there's an opening. Like, let me let my friend know." So that's really important to tell people about what you're looking for, and they will remember you because people are problem solvers. So like they want to help you. People want to help you at FIU, and you know, if you come to me, for instance, I'll keep you in mind if you're interested. You know what I mean? So definitely go to everyone you know. If they have something that you want, like an internship that you want at a company that you want, let them know that, hey, I've been looking, I've been applying. So definitely let them know, because then they can help you get the interview faster, and that's definitely important. So yeah,
Yeah, and also FIU offers a lot of opportunity to work as a grader and as a teaching assistant. That is going to be a great experience to add in your resume. So if you don't have any internship yet, that is a good place to start. Start getting that, and that is going to catch the eyes of people when they look at your resume.
Thank you for the insight, guys. All right, so Naz, last one up.
The best, Carol probably said the best advice. I'm gonna be honest. Apply everywhere. No matter how many no's you get, and trust me, it will be a lot of no's. Take it from somebody who's gotten used to the rejection. Taking the fat R. All it takes is just one person saying, "We would like to extend you the opportunity." That email you get is gonna be like, "Screw all the rejections. I finally did it." Um, oh, are you guys able to hear me? Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're back on.
In order to prepare as much as you can, definitely take advantage of the resources given to you. Azhar mentioned r/cs career questions. Yes, you know, people laugh at it going to Reddit, haha, but it's really one of the greatest subreddits ever. It tells you so much on it gives you so much insight on different companies, information, etc. Um, if you guys are active Discord users, there's even Discord servers. Or there's a Discord server for CS career questions, even, and you get to meet so many people there. Um, I'll actually add the resources at the chat after answering the question. Um, but there's so many resources there on FIU campus. Definitely not paid by UP, but Shell Hacks is one of the greatest resources ever. I'm not gonna lie. I was able to go through all 4 iterations of Shell Hacks, and I literally could not every single type of industry you can think of: aviation, cruises, software, cool stuff. Shell Hacks most likely has it. So if fall semester, come fall semester, if you guys are looking to get your foot in the door, Shell Hacks is a great resource. Someone mentioned FIU Handshake. There's a ton of opportunities that get listed over there. The UP Advance even gives you information when there's an info session happening well, right now virtually, but when things are better, it'll happen again in person. There's always info sessions, companies coming to FIU campus and talking about the different companies. Um, I got hooked on Nike when they came on campus. I learned a lot about JP Morgan and even other different companies all through on campus when they're giving info sessions. So taking advantage of all these resources really do help out. And on top of that, there's a lot of it's not just you that are looking for first internships, a lot of peers as well. And just talking to your peers and friends, like how Sam mentioned, just letting them know that, oh, you are looking for an internship and they may have an opportunity for you. Or even better, there might be someone that's also looking for an internship and they may have a resource that you haven't even thought of. So just constantly doing everything possible and applying everywhere, you'll eventually get that one yes from a company. And it may not be your preferred company, or it may not be the internship you dreamed of, but just having that first yes and going to that first internship is literally like a giant door that opens up to a bunch more opportunities. I can 100% attest to that. So really take advantage of all those resources, um, keep on the grind, and just really take advantage of what's there in front of you. And then I promise you the rest will follow suit after. And yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. The second you get that first opportunity, it gets easier. But of course, it's a lot of hard work. You know, it's a lot of rejections. It's a lot of, you know, tailoring your resume, for example. It's a lot. It's a lot at first, but the second you get your foot in the door somewhere, it gets easier. It will get easier. That's why the sooner, the better. So thank you for sharing that, guys. We'll move on to our next question. Okay, so how can an intern's work become meaningful to a company? We'll start with Azar.
So from my experience, it's been kind of unique, since in Facebook University you don't work on the actual code base for Facebook. You work on so how the FBU program is structured. So for those who don't know, for Facebook University, it's the sophomore/freshman internship program for Facebook. It is a 10-week program, and you either learn iOS development or you learn Android development. And I was placed on the Android team. for the first 3 weeks, they basically did like a boot camp on learning Android development, and the rest of my time at Facebook, I was tasked with building a mobile app with the language I learned, which was Java for Android. Kind of salty I didn't get to do Kotlin, but it's whatever. But at least for my work, so how I made it, even though I wasn't working on the code base, I wanted to make something that was meaningful to me and something that was meaningful to my community. So for my app, I actually built a mentorship management app. Since I was the director of UPE Mentor, I built an app essentially that would help people like create programs from scratch, like mentorship programs, since that was a problem I had trouble with, that people could join the programs and they could get all the updates from the program, and people could text to their mentor and stuff through it. And that was at least what I did through there. My manager really, and my manager like loved my idea for my app because it was something that I was passionate about, and it was something that I truly cared about. So she ended up showing it to a whole bunch of like different managers, and it helped me get the return offer for the same company. So at least it will be different for the others since they have done different internships. But at least for the sophomore internship, doing something that I was passionate about made it meaningful to the company that I worked at, because at least one of their main goals is to make impact. So at least with my app, it somewhat at least tried to do that. So that's how it was meaningful in some sense.
Thank you, Azar. Sam?
For me, I think that this question's interesting because I'm like, how can it be meaningful? I guess you, like Azar said, you have to be passionate about the work that you put in, right? At least for Disney, what I do on a daily basis is not like a project that we're building. It's more like fixing bugs and things like that. So I guess the way that my work is meaningful is that it gets done quickly and like before deadlines and things like that. So I guess keep like staying ahead of the curve is a way that your work can be meaningful at your company, because managers look at that and they say that, oh, this is a good thing. So I guess like staying on top of your game and um, managing your time well and things like that are always meaningful. And then at least at my American Express internship, we actually built a website. That was meaningful because we were passionate about automation, and we wanted to make a product that would help the company automate like their work and things like that. So basically the main driver of that was that it would help the company save a lot of money and things like that. So um, I guess it was the project itself was meaningful because it would help the company's mission in general. So I guess creating projects that helps the company win in any way or shape or form, like whether it be saving money or like being more efficient, that's definitely a way that you could do something meaningful for the company. So yeah, that's my tip.
Thanks, Sam.
Mhm.
Carol?
Yes, yeah, to me, this question is very hard as well because you say, okay, I'm an intern. How on earth can I do something meaningful for you? That was my main concern when before I did my first internship and before I started to apply. How can I do something that your employees haven't done already or don't know how to do? In reality, I think that the best that you can give a company is showing that you have interest in learning, that you are worth investing in, and at the end, making them extending you an offer and you accepting them. That is the main reason for which they are offering internships, because they want to catch talents before they graduate and they want to have you on board so that you accept an offer from them when you graduate. So that is the most useful thing that you will give to a company, I would say. But in addition to that, with the little experience or knowledge you have, what can you do for that company? Well, I would say try to finish something that you start, even if it is a small, as long as it is finished or as long as it is left in the right path where someone else can continue doing that task, it's going to be useful for the company. Sometimes you can take on a task that has been pushed away for some time because it is not a priority and they cannot take an employee to do that. But since you are an intern and they were not counting on you, they are fine asking you to do it. If you do it very well, even though it was not a priority, it is something that is done already, and they are going to take advantage of that in a way or other, so that is going to be meaningful. And even if by the end of your internship, you didn't do anything innovative or anything like super useful, just having been there, learning, showing your interest, the company will think that you were worth the investment, that it was good having you on board because you were a good student and you give them what they were looking for, your interest and your time and your dedication and discipline. So I think that's going to be good enough.
Thank you, Carol. Naz?
You know, you guys are always taking the good answers, and I gotta think about. Actually, I have to, like, it's getting difficult to think. Like, as the questions are getting more difficult, it's getting difficult to find an answer. But I'm gonna piggyback off of what all three of you actually said regarding an intern's work. Um, I was fortunate enough to actually experience three different kinds of internships. One that involved working on an existing project, one that was just a problem statement given to me, and another one is just working on a project, knowing, like, with my manager telling me that yes, this will be something picked up to work on it. So I have some advice for all three of those types if you happen to get put into one of those three types. Regarding an internship that's just where a manager is giving you a problem statement, you have to solve it. It's actually a test to it's actually a test, whether you like it or not. They want you to do research. They want you to look at the stakeholders involved. They want you to look at to see who is this project going to impact, or who is this problem statement targeting, etc. Let's say that your internship says you need to build something to solve the homeless population, right? You're going to do all this research on the homeless population. You're going to have to talk to a lot of people that are involved in that within the company that are involved in this specific problem, etc., right? And you start learning cool things, right? And then suddenly you realize, wait a second, how come the company's never thought about this, right? And then you take that one thought, implement it into some form of solution, and then you start talking to other people, other engineers within the company. And then there were in my case, it actually so happened to be that it was something overlooked by the other people and the other engineers, where my solution was actually it was actually a supplement to whatever to something that they were trying to work on. So just based off that, I was the work suddenly became meaningful because it was something that the engineers now have thought of. In the second case, where I was working on something existing, the impact is already there. You're literally maintaining something that's keeping the company running. Whether it's an app that everybody in the world uses, it's a company app that everybody in the world uses. If you make one bug fix to that, you're literally making sure millions of people are not, the app does not break down on millions of people under millions of people. And the third example, which was building a product where the manager tells you. So at my last internship, right, my manager told me that your work will be directly meaningful because it's something that the company was lacking and we need a solution to it, right? Obviously, it's, as an intern, you're not going to be making the next big thing at the company. It's more than likely going to be some they call it an MVP, a minimal viable product, which is basically a prototype of your solution at best, right? And then it could be built on. What ended up happening was they'll tell us to research this, right? Research who's involved, who are we trying to accomplish, who is it helping, what technologies to use. In that research, you'll start realizing just how meaningful it is to the company. In my case, at my last internship, my project dealt with making collaborations between Nike and other cool companies more easier and possible. So let's say Nike wanted to do a collaboration with a clothing brand like Gucci or Off-White, etc. The tool is meant to make that easier through technology. If they want to do artist collaborations or etc. etc. So in that for that type of experience in that example, through the research, you'll find that the work immediately becomes meaningful, and that you'll be building something that's gonna be picked up. Fortunately, in my case, my project was picked up by the engineers after the internship, but if it's a good solution that you've implemented and you built something to show it, it will more than likely be picked up by the engineers after you leave. And then in some cases, when you accept the full-time offer, you may even get to work on that same tool that you built or that same project that you were working on. So depending on your circumstances, it all really boils down to um, when you get that first internship, researching the problem, and when you have a solution and you present your solution to your manager, and that will basically tell you that, all right, you just brought a completely new perspective to the company, and that itself is already meaningful. And it's also a benefit to being an intern. It's a benefit in your case as well, because since you brought in a fresh new perspective, it justified the company's decision to hire you as an intern, because you just basically brought something new to the table. And from there, that's how something can be meaningful within the company. It doesn't have to be directly impactful, like you working on something existing, but just you doing research and you proposing something, or you found something that the company does not find. It shows that it becomes pretty meaningful to the company. And it just you can just build off from there, essentially.
Really great insight. Really great insight. It's I like how you listed the difference, since you've had the experience of 3 internships, you know, that's you've seen what it is, and you were able to also provide different ways, all of you were able to provide different ways of helping the company and showing that, you know, they invested in you and it wasn't for nothing or anything like that. So thank you for the insight. We have one last question. We're going to keep this one kind of brief, and then we'll go into like Q&A, and then that'll conclude our event. So last question. So how did your perspective on technology change after this experience, your internship experience? How would you approach school now that you have this knowledge? We start with Azar.
So before the internship, I was heavily still kind of debating whether tech was for me or whether I belonged in this field. Mainly because I never had any role models in technology before, so it was always whether it was questionable whether I could go into this field. And as well, I am also an international student too. So eventually I'll have to go back to like my home country and stuff. And I wondered, could I make an impact on this field, and can I do this for my life? And after I did the internship, I personally gained so much more confidence in knowing that this field is the right field for me. I love problem solving. I love trying to think. I know I love coming up with ideas that make an impact on the world. So definitely, I started viewing technology. I started loving technology even more, even with all the late nights I would have to spend just like working on my project and pull all-nighters. It was so worth it at the end of the day. And I, I know this is the field for me. And now approaching school, to be honest, I'm a worse. This internship has made me a worse student for the definitely, because at least I one of the great things about getting an internship is that you're actually getting industry experience, and you're getting that right experience that companies are looking for once you are looking for full time. So my I have had to I'm placing, I guess, less I don't know if I should really be saying this, but I'm placing less effort into school, I suppose, because when once you get an internship, you kind of it kind of is a door into the world outside of school, and it does help take you a long way. If anything, I've started to focus less on academics, but but after I've gone the internship, I've been focusing more on ways to give back to the community that has given me so much, to be honest. The ways on how to help other people become better at technical interviews, better at behavioral interviews, and just giving back to the community in terms of opportunities so that more people can get the same opportunities that I once did. Yeah, that is my spiel.
Thank you, Azar. Don't worry, it's almost over. You're almost going to be done with school. But I can see how, getting an internship, the second that door opens, you're like, well, I know a lot already now. Who needs school? But no, definitely finish school. Get it over with.
Stay in school, kids. Finish your
Stay
grades.
in school.
Don't
Yeah.
fail your classes. I'm not telling you to not fail your classes, although questionable on my end, but you just don't listen to me on that end.
Just finish school. Yeah. Moral of the story. All right. So Sam, you're next.
Yeah, piggybacking off of what Azar said, like recently I've just been doing, for instance, my Disney Plus internship for a whole year now. Well, not for, yeah, for a whole year now, pretty much. And I've been doing both school and this internship at the same time. And it just, like, the way it's changed my perspective is that, like Azar said, I don't want to put that much effort into school now, because I kind of already know what I'm gonna do after I get out of school, and school isn't really giving me the knowledge right now that I need for my job, but it's still important. So definitely, like, keep going at it. And yeah, well, let me answer the question. So it changed my perspective on technology in terms of, like, I don't want to be a software engineer. So that's basically what I found out. And I'd rather do project management, projects and things like that, and quality assurance. So that's basically what I found out. I still want to be involved in the world of technology, and like massively though. Like that's something that I found out. Like I really want to be involved in tech, whatever happens, the next innovation. So definitely that. Don't think that the only role out there is software engineering. There's many other roles in the software development lifecycle. So definitely make sure that that's something that you take into account. And yeah, like Azar said, I'm just in school right now to mentor people and basically help everyone out. And class is just kind of like fading away, and it's there, but it's not there. I don't know. I just want to be done so bad. But yeah, we're almost there. So yeah, that's basically my response.
Thank you for that, Sam. Yep. You guys are almost done. Just push through. All right, Carol.
Okay, so my perspective on technology changed in that at the beginning, I used to think that you needed to know everything in order to succeed in technology. After doing my first internships, I realized that technology is not about knowing everything, it's about not being afraid of challenges. Facing a difficult problem, something that maybe you haven't seen before, and still saying, okay, it is difficult, but there must be something that can be done about it. So let's research and let's try. And number two, well, the way I would approach school after doing the internship and the way I realized I should have done it is that even though you don't have to know everything, the more you know, the better. So don't underestimate what every single class have to teach you. Take advantage of everything that you are seeing in class. When you get to the internships and you get to the workplace, you are going to find yourself saying, I remember something about this that I did in this class, but I wasn't paying attention. I should have paid attention to that part. And you are going to realize that a lot of things that you do at school you are going to use in a very subtle way in the work, not exactly, not straight, but they are going to be useful. So pay attention and develop your skills during classes. They are going to help you later.
Thank you, Carol. Really good advice. Naz?
I'm trying to find a way to answer this without bashing school. I'm gonna be honest. But I'm gonna start with the first part first. My perspective on technology after the experience, right? When I started my CS, when I started my academic career at FIU studying CS, right? The only words that really came to my mind were like Google, Microsoft, Facebook. You got to get into one of those companies, right? Like to me at least, this is my experience, right? It may not be the case for everybody. It just felt like at that time, it was like, okay, if you're gonna work in technology, you're gonna see yourself either in one of these, or even IT. Like before I had teetered between CS or IT. When people told me IT, um, people like the companies are like very limited. Like, okay, you got to be in IT in one of these big companies, right? However, as like after my first internship and especially after my last one, um, technology isn't just building software for the sake of software. That's kind of the experience I took away, right? You can apply technology to literally anything. Heck, you can. At my last internship, I was able to apply technology to clothes. Like, how do you find the relationship between the two, right? It's like one of the most fringe things that you don't think of. And it started making me appreciate technology a lot from there, saying like thinking, okay, if technology can be applied obviously to solve a lot of problems, mobile, like how to solve communication, the invention of cell phone, how to make things easier for yourself, like different UI UX experience, et cetera, right? You can apply that for literally almost everything, right? Is there some sort of technology that can literally help me, you know for small things? A personal example I can give you is like, all right, um is there some sort of technology out there that can like help me respond to my parents, right? Without them having to scream at my name because they're downstairs and I'm upstairs. Literally, that's the first thing I can think of right now, right? And there is, it made me appreciate technology like walkie talkies. Like now, I'll give a walkie talkie to my mom so that they can call me if I'm upstairs, just so that they don't got to scream, especially when I have my headsets on, right? And it could be as something small as that, or it could be as something big, right? So in that regard, it made me appreciate technology a lot more. Now, approaching school, now that I have this knowledge, I really, really, really wish in my freshman year, I knew just how important data structures was. Um, so that I didn't have to wait till like my late sophomore year to take the class. I wish I had learned it earlier because learning data structures really helps the grind. Finding that first internship. If there's one class at FIU, I'd say that's very, very important. It's probably data structures. Be realistic here. Obviously, programming one, programming two are there to teach you the basics, but um, the meat and butter, the what is it? The bread and butter. That's the expression I was looking for. The
The
bread and
meat and
butter,
potatoes.
the meat and potatoes. There you go. Even better. The meat and potatoes of at least for CS, right? Is data structures. I really wish I had took that class, and I really wish I had learned, or not even took that class. I really wish I had learned that topic and just that in my freshman year. Aside from that, just I wish I had begun programming or like started taking steps outside of classes in my freshman year because during that time I was mainly just doing my classes, going home and going on my computer and playing video games for the rest of the day. I still do that to an extent today, but in my freshman year it was a lot more. um I really wish I had done things outside of class because a lot of things I learned at my internships, the technologies especially, um they were they were not that difficult to learn because I had implemented in my side projects. But I did those side projects really late into my career. I did them when I was in my junior year, where I wish I could have done them in my freshman year just to get ahead of the game. Um, in that regard, I wish I had approached school now that I had that knowledge. Another way is really actually no, that's really the only way. Just starting like the most generic answer, but it's really the most true, is taking the knowledge you had now and just having it when you started college. Um, that's the main way I would have approached school. Is just if I had known that the grind required this much things, I wish I had started earlier. Um, and yeah, hopefully, um, hopefully I answered that without mentioning FIU once. But yeah, FIU classes at least. But
No,
the
you did
classes
a
were
pretty good
important. The
job.
data structures, I will say this: if you have the luxury of taking data structures with Antonio Bajuelos, that man's a legend. Um, I just wish I had them earlier, or like you could take the class earlier, I guess. But yeah, and yes, Azar, yes,
Never too late.
yeah, never too late to start. That is also another thing. Um, don't let don't let the fact, like, don't ever think that it's too late. It really isn't. My first internship was pretty late into my junior year, like the beginning of my junior year, right? Um, which is like I consider that pretty late compared to what I could have done, and it really, it really, it really helped. Like, it's really not the case, you know. The moment you start learning, even if you picked it up late in your senior year or your junior year, it's still something, and that first step you take, regardless of when you take it, that's when the grind starts for you, essentially. And yes, just do it.
Thank you so much for all that insight from all of you. I know that after having your first internship, your second or your third, it can be kind of, I guess, daunting to go back to school. It's like, well, I obtained this knowledge, I kind of know what I want to do. But also remember that school is what kind of helped you get you there, you know, as far as like making connections and stuff and bringing up topics. It's like, oh, well, I'm majoring in this. And, you know, sometimes you're going to go into classes and you might not learn that much from a professor, but they, in some regard, you know, they provide you with topics that you can look into. So anytime you have the chance to look into a topic a little more instead of, you know, going home and, you know, just not looking into anything, try to look into stuff, try to make a little project here and there. And then from everything that we've gone over, try applying. Just apply, see what you can do. You know, even if you know you'll get like rejected, right? Like you're like, oh, well, I'm gonna apply to this place, but I don't think I'll make it. Like, just try it out. You know, you don't know. And at least you'll get that experience. You'll see what companies are looking for. You'll start to learn how to like pitch yourself better, and you'll know more or less what you want. And then once you break that seal of getting your first internship, it just gets easier from there. And you know, continue to like kind of study on your own time, not because, oh, I have to do it for this class. I mean, obviously you should, but do it because you like it. You know, do it because you want to know more about this topic. You want to see how things work, you know. And that's the advice that I can give all of you guys in the audience. But thank you so much for all of the insight that you guys have provided, because I know it can be scary, you know, not having an internship, and it can be very stressful. So hopefully this kind of like cleared up the air in the sense of those who were kind of like lost in getting an internship, or how to get an internship, or what happens when you're in one. So hopefully this event kind of like helped with that. So now we're going to go into questions, answers. If anybody in the audience has any questions that they want to ask, you drop it in the chat. You can just unmute yourself, and feel free to ask our panelists anything.
I actually have a question for anyone. So I'm looking to kind of apply for my first internship, but there's two things that are kind of holding me back, which is one, I just transferred to my sophomore year in FIU, so I don't really have any programming classes or data structures or any of that. And so, okay, for example, recently I just got an email from Amazon to do their first step interview, but it's a lot of like leech code. It's a lot of technical questions, but I don't really have a really good knowledge on one specific language. I've done a couple projects using C++ and then HTML and CSS, but not enough to really be like answering technical questions. What advice would you give me there for trying to find interviews without having, you know, basically zero experience?
I think I can answer that one. Well, basically, I've managed to get all these internships without having done a single leak code question. So that's something that I don't know if that's like a reassuring fact for everyone, but yeah, I think that the best thing you could do is find like that Amazon role, I don't know, like you have to find a role that like isn't just software engineering, I guess, if you're trying to look for that first one, if you haven't taken programming 1 or programming 2 yet. Like you have to have taken those classes in order to get into that internship. So I definitely think it's about finding the specific role that would fit in for your level of experience, right? So I know that Carol said, the FIU career fair is definitely a great place to find companies that are looking for anyone with any kind of experience that'll help you get that industry experience while you're still learning programming. So once you're done getting those programming classes out of the way and you're done getting that industry experience, then you could go to Grace Hopper or something and get a internship as soon as you can. So like a better internship, right? So that's definitely that's basically what I've done, but I'm pretty sure anyone else can answer to that in a different experience.
So you said that you haven't taken programming classes at all yet, or you took them in another school?
No, at all.
Yeah.
I only took one programming class, and it was an MDC, which was for C++. But it wasn't even the whole C++ language. It's just a very basic intro to C++.
But you are planning on taking the programming classes at FIU?
Yeah.
Yeah, in general, I would say that you won't lose anything just by trying, but use as much time as you can before doing the internship with Amazon to practice your C++ coding. It is important to have one language, at least one in which you are proficient, not super proficient, because I am not even super proficient in Java, but I feel comfortable implementing algorithms in Java. So go to, if you still want to give it a try to a software engineer role in Amazon, go to LeetCode or to HackerRank or to Code Signal, those sites, and practice doing at least easy or medium questions with C++. It is going to be challenging, I am not going to lie, but you are not going to lose anything. You are going to learn, you are going to gain experience, and even if they say no, you are going to get a feel of what that kind of interview is like. And you are going to feel the pressure when you take the programming classes of how much attention you have to pay to those classes in order to be successful in those internships and in those interviews. So I would give it a try anyway and just do the best that you can with the few little time you are going to have before the interview.
Thank you.
Yeah. I also want to add as well that there are also SWE internships that you can get that don't necessarily require you to do whiteboarding or any of that sort of stuff really. Like for instance, in my sophomore year, so I was still very a new programmer. I done like one project or two projects, but I buffed myself up on professional. But okay, so yeah, so I managed to get an interview with State Farm, and their interview is it's only behavioral sorts of questions. But the way how I passed that interview and I got that offer was essentially by talking about my project and talking about my involvement with UPE essentially, and how I got to that stage beforehand. So as someone who does not have like really much technical experience, how was I able to get a SWE internship without any experience? What you need to do is you need to make sure that your professional development is A1. Your resume on check. You're being able to answer behavioral sorts of questions on par. Your elevator pitch like needs to be clean, right? And if you have those things like on par and you apply to as many internships as possible, because for me, like I barely had any programming experience, but at the end of the day, as we have said before, it all that matters is just that one company that takes a chance on you, right? So if you apply to as many places as you can, make sure your resume is good, and yeah, tailor it for these companies. Practice behavioral sorts of questions, and as well as Carol mentioned, start doing like a little bit of leak code as well, even with C++. Get your feet wet and start doing that. That definitely goes a long way, um, even if you're not super good at it in the beginning. Just getting that experience before you go into like an interview and whatnot goes a long way. So, but definitely just based on the projects that you have built, or if you're not working on it, if you haven't done any projects, join teams like SparkDiv or start researching on your own, see how you can get involved, upgrade your resume, apply to as many places as you can, and just see what you can get if you could try for this semester. See what you can get, or if not for the spring, and if not, that just gives you more time to be even better prepared the next year. Since you're still very early in your college career, you still have plenty of time to get an internship later on. So the road is not you're not at the end of the road yet if you don't by chance get one, but for sure, there's still time definitely to try and to try your best to see if you want to get one. So that's what I would suggest.
So there are a couple questions in the chat. There's one question that asked, or there's one question that says, what is one thing that you regret not doing during your internship? If you guys can just quickly mention something that you kind of regret not doing during your internship.
I guess I'll go first for that one, right? So I personally, one of the things I would love to do in the future, as well as like in the future, it, as well as maybe for the rest of my life, is be working internationally, like not just in America, but have an impact globally, internationally. I would like to. One of my dreams is actually working in Japan and in other places of Asia, um, just to have that experience, right? And the only way to really do that if you're working in the US, right, is your networking has to be on point. Like you have to be able to not only like obviously you have to perform at your internship at a very high level, but you have to be networking at an even higher level for it, right? And one of the things I really do regret is not um pursuing, like not like aggressively networking um throughout the entire internship. There are a lot of events. Like during an internship you have a lot of company events, and there were a lot of events that had guest speakers and of engineers that worked internationally, that worked um in different fields. Like they worked out of China, they worked out of Korea, etc. And I was not able to attend those events. So that's definitely one thing I regret, is taking advantage of all the networking opportunities an internship has. I was networking a lot on my own, but um, there was definitely a lot of things I did miss, and that's probably my biggest regret.
For me, one of the biggest things I regret is during my internship. So I had a bit of imposter syndrome going in, being with kids from all over the country that went to like these really top schools, such as like Stanford. They went to like MIT. It felt very competitive, especially as being someone kind of like me and someone from not such a known school. Typically, it was very intimidating. Um, so but I wanted to be at the par of these students. So I wanted to look like I knew what I was doing sometimes. So when I get stuck on something, I would not ask questions. I would not ask around for help. I would just try to figure it out on my own. And that was a big mistake. Um, I really wished earlier that I reached out to people more and just swallowed up my pride and just asked whenever I needed help. That would have saved me a lot of debugging, and it would have saved me a lot of time and pain during my internship, because yeah, I would get stuck on a problem. I would just try to solve it on my own, but it could literally just be solved during like a code review or during like a paired programming session, like really quick, just going over like what, because sometimes you can't catch problems on your own during the internship. So if you have like a teammate, definitely just like try to reach out, and as well be there for that person too, or for your team when they need help, so that they also reciprocate the favor as well. But that's something I regret not doing earlier, although I caught on to it before the end, so it's fine. But the earlier the better. Just feel comfortable just asking around, because everyone honestly isn't you probably in the same situation as you sometimes.
Yeah, I think. What was the question again, Gabby? Like, what was the biggest regret? Or
Yeah, it's like, what is one thing that you regret not doing during your internship?
yeah, definitely what Azar said. Like, so during my American Express internship, my biggest thing was that I was just trying to solve things on my own. I was trying to debug things on my own, and I'm like, if I can't figure it out on my own, how can I even be here, right? So that's basically like the kind of thought process that like was going through in my head, and I was like, I have to be able to figure this out on my own. But it was completely wrong, and I ended up not getting the full-time offer from them. But it's okay. You move on, right? But basically, like, yeah, not asking for help earlier, like that was my biggest downfall. And the other thing too is that like that internship was only 6 weeks, so there wasn't really much time to catch up and like figure that out. Maybe I would have figured that out by the time it was like week 10 or something, but that was the end already. So definitely make sure you ask. Forget pride, forget being nervous, like just ask, because that'll help you in the long run. So yeah, big regrets. Big regrets.
Thank you for that, guys. There's another question. What should I do if I'm...
Can I make a quick comment on the comments that everybody said really quick?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm actually very curious on what Nas says in regards of international internships. I have always been a huge fan of, let's say, financial industries in Singapore and Japan. You think the only way to get those done is if you're actually in a company, or is there a way that you actually can get them done prior joining that company, if you happen to be an American citizen?
So, just to clarify, sorry, who was it that answered the question? The Zoom chat just bugged out on me.
It was me. I guess I was
Okay.
just curious on when you asked that, because most of the companies that I have approached that have positions internationally, I mean, they do not accept internships if they're not within America. So I was actually very curious when you mentioned that, as I wanted to explore if you think there is a possibility to get those internships, if I mean if you're doing the regular processes with
Yeah.
of interviewing with companies.
In terms of internship, right? It's very difficult. I'm not gonna lie, it is very difficult to do an international internship. There's a plethora of reasons, right? Number one is, as a U.S. citizen, you don't really have authorization to work in other countries. That's one of the big things. So, um, that's why it's not. You'll see very few options to intern at a company, right? The I would say about 93%. Well, that's 97% of the time there's no international internships as a U.S. citizen, for especially for interns, right? The 3% I will say, however, are usually those who own are those who are international students already. So like if you're somebody that, for example, is from, I actually have a friend who's from Aruba, right? So her passport allows, she's authorized to work anywhere in Europe. um there are a lot of companies that have like European headquarters, and they have internships that are open, right? You would just apply for those if you have the work authorization. That's the main thing, right? Um or what would happen is some people, they happen to own, they're dual citizens, right? So they have two passports. They have an American one, as well as a different type of passport that allows them to work at to work at other countries and stuff, right? That um and the very, I would say, 0.01% is you you get an internship in the US, but your team is located somewhere else. Like let's say your team is located in London or in India, which happens to be the case with a lot of companies. Then what may happen, right? Obviously it's not going to happen now due to the current circumstances of corona and stuff, but what may happen is sometimes you'll get shipped, like they'll fly you out for a couple of days or weeks within your internship to go meet with the team, talk with the team, present, etc., right? But overall, really, for internships, it's not that easy to find. It's actually very difficult to find an international internship. But let's say that you do get an return offer, right? Let's say you did an internship and you got a return offer for full time. Um, then you can start exploring international opportunities from there. And they usually come in the case of, you're working in the US, but your team is located somewhere else. And that's really the case. I hope that answers your question.
No, it did. I was just very curious when you mentioned it, and I guess you were expanding on, and as you said already, an established job rather than an internship, because I myself have tried multiple times and I have encountered with the scenarios that you told me. So I was curious of how you. I guess I misinterpret your comments when you were saying them, but cool. Thank you very much for your response.
I apologize for not making the initial comments clear.
No, it's fine. It's actually my fault. Thank you very much.
All right, so we have time for maybe one or two more questions. There's one in the chat. Someone had asked, like, what should I do if I'm balancing a part-time job, school, and programming on the side, as you're trying to get like an internship? How would you guys balance that?
Create a schedule. I would say sometimes adjusting to schedules is very hard, but at least in my case, when I have too many things going on, I create a schedule at least to keep in mind what is my goal. Like my goal a week is to dedicate this much time to study, this other time to work, this other time to this class or to prepare for interviews. I won't be probably be able to follow that schedule strictly, but it gives me an idea of how good or bad I am doing at that. What is my aim, even though yeah, if I get it or not. So yeah, for sure, that is my advice.
I have something to add to that. It depends, right? Because I think that if you're passionate about it, you will find the time, and you will make the time to like dedicate to studying and like trying to learn as much as possible about it. So I guess what I would ask you is like, how passionate are you about programming and software engineering and all these things? Like how, like, you know what I mean? Is this something that you really want? And like, I'm pretty sure you'll find the time to like make it work. So yeah, those are my 2 cents.
Thank you. Nazazar, do you have anything to add to that? Or next question?
No, so in terms it is balancing your schedule, right? Like with programming and with school. For me, the main way how I was able to practice programming and practicing like lead code and stuff on the side was doing it with friends. I would frequently do lead code with with I would do like mock interviews with some of my close friends, like in UPE and whatnot. Do problems together and go through that experience together. Since we were all noobs, we would work together and try to help each other out, which was really fun. We also did this website together. It's called binarysearch.io. You basically race. You get in a room, and everyone joins the room, and you race together to finish like the same problem, and you get like points if you finish the problem first and whatnot. That was a really fun way for me to just practice my data structures and algorithms because I'm generally a very disorganized person. So doing it in this way, making it fun for me, doing it with friends was a big motivator for me to go forward and study for interviews. I didn't even feel like I was really studying. It was just more like I was just doing something like I love, because I like just programming and coming up with solutions on the side, and getting to do it with friends is even better. And in terms of doing projects, the best way to get in projects is 2 ways. One, joining clubs through clubs. The UPE, you could join the SparkDiff program and get that technical experience doing projects and whatnot through by working in a team like in SparkDiff. And as well, going to hackathons are a great way to get in that project experience as well. But since you have an allotted certain amount of time, whether it be 36 hours, 48 hours, depending on the length of the hackathon. And through these ways, you could keep on with like your normal school life. You can kind of keep on as normal. If you just like in your additional time, just add in times where you'd be normally doing something else. just fit in like maybe, oh, I'm gonna do some binary search, or I'm gonna do some lead code with some friends now, or this weekend I'm just gonna do this hackathon and I'm gonna get this project on my resume. So it's just allotting maybe that extra time you would use to like just like chill out, grind a little bit, and put that time into just these other investments that'll be very much worth in your near future, when you're looking for internships and stuff.
Thank you.
To add to what Azar said real quick, he mentioned at the end of the day, it is a grind. And when you're grinding, some sacrifice has to be made, right? For me, in that case, a lot of my free time went to playing a lot of video games. I had to do away with that completely during when I grinded for that first internship. Aside from that, there would be many times where, I'd have to miss out on a lot of like gatherings. Well, obviously pre-COVID, but like gatherings, events, especially like whenever the main thing that sucked for me the most is when my friends would tell me, hey, we're gonna go out to eat, you want to come with? And I'd be like, sorry man, I can't, I'm focusing on this, I'm doing binary search, I'm doing leak code, etc. It sucked, but in the end the sacrifice was much worth it. And if obviously, you can always video game, you can always hang out with friends, but getting that first internship, that opportunity may come, but it may be so, God forbid, that you're not prepared for it because you didn't make that one sacrifice, etc. So just beware that there will be some form of sacrifice involved when you're doing that, when you're doing the grind, essentially.
Thank you for that. All right, so our last question. Someone asked, how do you guys manage finances and money made during internships? I'm planning on transferring to another school next year and desperately need an internship for money and experience.
Could you repeat the question? Sorry.
The last part, yeah.
So they asked, how do you guys manage finances and money made during an internship? And then they also added, I'm planning on transferring to another school next year and desperately need an internship for money and experience.
Don't go to malls.
Yeah, that's a big
less
one.
on certain times.
That is a big one. I mean, oh wow.
Can you repeat
just
that?
save 50% of what you make? Honestly, that's what I do. I save 50% of what I make, put it into savings. I mean, I still don't know how to invest, honestly, but if you know how to invest, kudos to you. But 50% in an interest accruing bank account or whatever, savings account, and that's it. And the rest of the 50 that's left over, you can do whatever you want with it. Don't sweat it. Buy yourself those shoes, get that bag, and do it. Just go for it. Reckless. Just be reckless. I'm messing around. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I would add also that since we are students, before we get our first internship, we usually don't have a lot of money. So by the time we get the first internship and we start earning a little bit more, we feel like we are rich already and that is a lot of money. It really is not. And it is going to go away very fast if we don't acknowledge that and if we don't use it very careful. So even though the money at the beginning may kind of impact you, don't let it treat you. It is not a lot of money. So save it and use it wise.
I'm the worst person to. Oh, my bad. You go. I'm sorry.
No. All I'm gonna say is don't let it get to your head. Just be smart with your money. Try not to look at things that you really want to buy. Just put that off to the side. The grind comes first, and then that bread, that dinero that comes later. And just work, and then the money will come in, but you have to think about your future too, and after this internship experience, and for your life as well. If you're paying for school, for international students, you have to pay back like part of what your internship, like internship course, and you have to pay part of that and stuff. You just have to be. It's just like in terms of anything with like if you're getting a job, if you're getting it's the same thing with like an internship. You have to be smart with your money, and definitely what Sam said, investing, saving like 50%. That's a really good tip because it'll definitely help later. Investing for your future is just smart.
Yeah, just divide whatever you make in a month by 2 and put it into a bank, and that's it.
Yeah, and also use a long-term mindset. Luxuries can wait. A lot of things can wait. We have that amount of money later. Think now about your goals and how that money can help you achieve them. Paying for classes, for trips, conferences. Yeah.
Conferences. Oh my God, I can't believe they didn't bring that up in this, but conferences is such a big deal. Like, go to Grace Hopper. Oh my God, that's the best investment you can make. Going to Grace Hopper, and I forgot the names of the other ones, but yeah, that's like my biggest pro tip. Yeah.
Piggybacking on what all you guys said again, really save as much money as you can. I'm the worst person to be asking this. I, Nike is a cool internship, but sadly, a lot of people, it's a scheme, right? They give you really fat discounts, and you start investing all that money you made internship back into the company. I had some regrets in life. I will say that. Sometimes those pair of shoes were not worth it, but they look so goddamn cool. Um, I will say this though, like luckily I was able to just barely hit that 55% margin, but um splurging is okay if you do it moderate, not even like, it's okay to splurge on yourself. Me personally, I have this motto I like to follow where, you know invest in things that, like, if you're gonna spend, at least invest in things that matter. Like, for example, I I'm a person that likes to invest in a sleep quality, so I'll get that really nice pillow or that really nice mattress even. Or I like a person if I see something if I see like some clothes that are really nice and they're good and they're not like overly expensive, I like I'll go and buy them, like things that make me
Yes.
feel good, that are better for me long term. So the big thing being sleep quality. I'm a Anybody own a purple mattress? I'm looking to buy a purple mattress soon. Those things are It's probably the best investment you can make outside of like stocks and stuff. Um, but yeah, really saving up that money, and it's gonna only benefit you in the future. Um, whether like you can spend money, like Sam said, like it's okay to, like, as long as you save a good portion of it, a high portion of it, 50% at least. The rest of the money, it's okay to splurge. Just don't go overboard with the splurging, like I said.
All right. Thank you guys for the insight. Um, that's it for pretty much the panel. I wanted to make a quick announcement that Spark Dev Demo Day is going to be happening Friday at 6. Our final UP general meeting will be December 4th at 6, and you can RSVP at upfiu.io. I wanted to thank all the panelists for sharing their experiences with us and just answering questions, and feel free to add them on LinkedIn too. They had put it in the chat. And just thank you for all the resources that you guys provided. And you, the audience, thank you for coming, and whoever's left. I know that this kind of went on long, but we want to answer as many questions that we could. So thank you guys for coming. I'll leave this open for a little bit if there's like any other running questions, but for the most part, the event is over. Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming today, and yeah, keep trying.
If you guys need
Opportunities will
help,
come.
you guys know where to reach me.
Yeah.
I'll call you and I'll wake you up at night and help you get that interview. Let's go. Let's do this.
On that topic, I'm very active on, like, you'll see me always online on Discord. So like you guys can ping me anytime on Discord. If you happen to be awake at like 4 a.m. in the morning, more than likely I'm awake at 4 in the morning, so you can message me if you guys had any questions or etc. Be more than happy to speak to you guys on more. So reach out to me on Discord.
Yeah.
I'd say reach out to me on LinkedIn, but I will tell you this right now, I am not active on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Actually,
I will literally call you. I will call you. She said it. Yeah.
You heard Sam. I also put my personal Discord link in the chat. You definitely reach out anytime. Like I'm always trying to give back to the community and help out. I've had my fair share of experience with like internship stuff, preparing and doing an internship as well as the other speakers. So definitely reach out. We'd love to help out. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have any questions, you can also send this through LinkedIn if you guys want to ask other follow-up questions. Just throw them. It's going to be a pleasure to keep helping you out.
Thanks, guys.